What's good? What's going on, everyone? Today I wanted to make this video to review the training program and book Triphasic Training. The reason why I wanted to review this program is because I think that a lot of sport athletes can benefit from Triphasic Training, and I think that it's not a totally mainstream program yet, or method of training amongst athletes. But I really just want to start this off by saying, if you're a team sports athlete, I really think Triphasic Training by Cal Dietz is a book you definitely want to invest in and read and check out. I'll leave the link down in the description if you want to go check it out. It's definitely opened my eyes to some new training methodologies that I wasn't completely familiar with before, but after reading, I'm definitely excited to have my athletes use in training. If you want to run faster, jump higher, be more agile, basically do anything athletic, be more powerful and explosive, this is definitely a book and training program that I think will benefit you as a team sports athlete. And I think that if you do decide to get this book, I think it will kind of open your eyes to a whole different world of training outside of just normal 4 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10 set and rep schemes that your coach gives you. I really think that this is more of an outside the box type of training program, and I think that if you're open to something like that, I think this is definitely the book for you to get. But really quick, before I get into this review, I just want to say my name's Austin. I'm a former athlete, college athlete, and am a current strength athlete. I have reviews like this on my channel and also have vlogs. I am currently training to add 100 pounds of my squat in less than a year. So if you like videos and content like that, I'd hit subscribe. All right, so the book itself, basically the book is this is it. It's a pretty big soft cover. A lot of pages, like 376 pages. It does get the job done. You don't need to be a Harvard graduate to read this book and comprehend the language that Cal uses. It's just general training language and just things you would find in a training manual. So with all that said, it leads me to everyone's big question about Triphasic Training. What is Triphasic Training? Essentially, Triphasic Training is the theory that there are 3 muscle actions in a movement. These 3 phases are the eccentric, or the lowering part, the negative part of the movement, the isometric, or the transition or pause, what have you, or the third, which is the concentric, or the positive pressing part of the movement. So pretty much the philosophy here is that in order to fully maximize your athletic performance and potential, you need to train all 3 phases of muscle action. Cal isn't a scientist, however, he's a strength and conditioning coach, and as a strength and conditioning coach, a lot of times we have to use our athletes as guinea pigs or lab rats, kind of like a scientist would, in order to test out different training methods. And he made a really big breakthrough a few years ago with 2 athletes. We'll call them Ben and Tommy. Cal says he went to, I think, his engineering department in his university and asked to use their force plate, which is just like a meter to measure power and watts. And what he did was he wanted to measure the power of these 2 athletes, Ben and Tommy. So why he picked these athletes specifically was because they're very similar. They're very similar in height, weight, speed, size, etc. They actually had the same 1 rep max bench press, which is what Cal used to test these 2 athletes. The difference was one of them was like an all-American shot putter and the other was like barely average. But using a banded bench press, Cal tested both Ben and Tommy on the force plate. And basically what he found was that they could both produce the same amount of force concentrically, but the better shot putter, the one that was an All-American, he was able to absorb more force rapidly on the negative part of the lift, and he was able to contract his muscles harder on the isometric portion of the lift. So I'll throw a little picture of the graph on the screen, which is basically the reading of this force plate. So by looking at this graph, what you could tell is that Ben was able to store more energy in his muscles on the lowering portion of the lift, so that on the concentric, he was able to accelerate the bar more rapidly. So basically this told Cal that when Ben threw the shot put, it was accelerating out of his hand way faster than when Tommy threw it. So what does this tell us? And basically this tells us that not only do we have to train the concentric portion of every lift, but we also have to focus on the eccentric and isometric portions as well. And every movement has this, whether it's like running and stopping and cutting, like in football when you're trying to juke out a defender, or whether you're going up to jump for a rebound in basketball and you're coming down, absorbing that force when you hit the ground. There's 3 phases of muscle action, and they all take part in the same way that you see the graph on the screen in that V shape. So when Cal did this study back in 2003, essentially he found what I believe is the key to developing athletes' force production, and that is developing both the eccentric and isometric portions of each movement as well as the concentric. Now I kind of want to make a disclaimer because I'm giving this triphasic training, I'm giving it a lot of hype, and I understand that obviously whatever physical attributes you want to make up, there's other things outside of just general force production that are going to separate athletes: skill, technique, etc., etc. But all individual differences aside, in my opinion, this is kind of what should be at the core of your training if you're an athlete. You want to be able to develop your force production. You want to be able to improve your power. You want to be able to improve how explosive you are as an athlete. Those athletes are always the best athletes. Look at some of the top guys: Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, LeBron James. They're just superior in an athletic sense. They can produce more power. They can jump. They can run at faster than anyone else on the court or the field. Like, it just is just the key to success athletically, in my opinion, at least. So individual differences aside, from a scientific sense, the athlete who can produce more power will be better than the athlete who can't. In the book, Cal goes into detail about how to train each of the 3 phases of muscle action, as well as gives recommendations on how to load specific exercises that he recommends, as well as considerations for your sport, your specific sport. Covers basically every sport. I think he covers basically from football to volleyball. The next thing I'm going to get into is the program. About a third of the way through, Cal gets into the program, and it makes up essentially the whole rest of the book. For the program, there's 3 sections: high force at low velocity, high force at high velocity, and high velocity peaking. These sections are just based around how heavy the weights are going to be in each portion of the program. This program is different. This program is probably very different from any general strength and conditioning program you've gotten from a coach or somebody who gave you an off-season program. The split is actually 3 days a week, full body. There's actually considerations in the book for a 2-day-a-week split all the way up to a 5-day-a-week split if you want to train more, which is, in my opinion, totally awesome that it gives you kind of like a range for those who want to work harder or are more advanced. As for rep sets and all the other specific details, you can get the program and see for yourself. I'm not going to give away all Cal secrets. However, I would like to mention that one key part of the program is the use of the French contrast method. For those of you who aren't familiar with the French contrast method, I've talked about it in previous videos. However, I do want to make a more in-depth video just talking and explaining all of the facets of it. It's pretty cool. It's actually a program I use to help me dunk a basketball. Although I do not have a video currently right now about the French contrast method, there are tons of articles and videos on it on the internet. You can just kind of get the general gist of it. The general outline of it is you start with a heavy movement like a squat. You go without rest to a dynamic movement like a vertical jump or a box jump. Then you go to a weighted dynamic movement like a dumbbell jump or a hang clean. Then you finish with an accelerated dynamic movement, which is like a banded assisted vertical jump or something like that. It's actually pretty easy. You just perform all of the exercises with less than 20 seconds rest between them, and then at the end of the giant set you take a 2-minute break and then repeat. So in my opinion, that's just another added plus to triphasic training. French contrast training is totally awesome. I really recommend it. Check out some of my older videos when I was learning how to dunk a basketball. It definitely helped me, especially towards the end. So when you combine French contrast training with triphasic training and the principles mentioned in this book, I believe it makes for a very powerful combination, and one I think should be at the core of your training if you are a team sports athlete. If you're just somebody who generally likes training to be more athletic, I think this is just such a good way to train and fun way to mix it up, other than doing just general bodybuilding, powerlifting, which in my opinion is probably more detrimental than good when it comes to strength and conditioning protocols given by a lot of head coaches of sports teams that don't really know, they kind of just print out a sheet that can be given just like a cookie cutter program to all their athletes. And I really don't think that it benefits many of them at all. You know, some of the guys who are freaks, they're going to get a benefit from anything. It's not helping the best guy on the team. It's trying to help the guy who's the worst on the team to improve. And in my opinion, something like that, it doesn't work. And I think that if you focus on improving your athlete's force development with a program like this is as close as it gets to giving your kids like a cookie cutter approach program. If you gave them all the same thing, I think you would see every kid on the team improve to a sense, despite, you know, obviously they have to be training hard and stuff, just generally, or else that this stuff isn't going to work anyway. That's just a whole nother video. I think that this is something that can give you as an athlete some direct carryover to your sport and athletic performance. So for the most part, that's it. I will link Triphasic Training down in the description box below if you're looking to purchase it and read more about the program itself. I will also link Cal Dietz's channel in the description. He has a ton of awesome content and also has like a whole library of exercises on his channel. Use that to your advantage and just soak up all the free info that he gives you. So that's it. If you like this video, go down below, give it a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.